Hi, I'm Mike, owner of the In-Groove in Phoenix, Arizona. Today I want to do an update video to my top 100 in-print analog records you should own list. This is going to be a video where I add a couple of titles to the list. I started this list quite a few years ago as kind of a running tally of my favorite 100 in-print analog records you should own list. It kind of arose because a lot of people would contact me into the store and they would say, "Hey Mike, what's the best? I want something analog. I want to see what it's capable of. I want to see what it's able to offer. What are some recommendations?" So being in the position I'm in, I put it on the website. I made a video talking about the best available records you can purchase that are all analog. Because at the time when that list was being put together, there was a lot of records that were somewhat out of print that were going for astronomical money. And people that were dipping their toes in the water didn't want to pay hundreds to thousands for the definitive version of a record. So I thought of it as a way, let's put together a list of kind of at retail records that you could own. So if you haven't seen that video, I encourage you to check it out. Click the link below. I'll link it, and you could give that a watch. It's kind of interesting when I think back on that video and I watch it. The camera work is pretty awful. But anyways, adding to the list, one of the comments I get, one of the complaints on the list is it's very jazz heavy. Well, there's a reason for that. There is an immense amount of high-grade audiophile jazz reissues coming out, and less so when it comes to rock adjacent titles, rock, punk, metal, R&B, that type of stuff doesn't really exist in the quantity of, say, jazz releases because there's so many specific standalone series when it comes to jazz. But there's becoming more and more of them. So I wanted to highlight those. And I'm going to start with INXS's Kick. Now this is an original. Here's the mobile fidelity version that was done quite a few years ago, maybe 14 years ago at this point. But the record I wanted to highlight, and the record I'm going to add to my top 100 in-print analog record you should own list, is this one. This is from the Atlantic 75th Anniversary Series. This whole series calls from the Atlantic Records catalog. It highlights about 75 titles, although the list is somewhat fluid. I think a few things have come off and maybe a few things will get added on. This, for me, though, has been a mind-boggling improvement from anything that I've heard up to this point. Now, granted, I don't have hundreds of copies of this record, but I have the promo, right? Sticker, label, promo, like in immaculate shape. And I have the mobile fidelity version. The original, it's a weird record in the sense that certain songs sound drastically better or worse than others. I'll take the hits, for instance. If you do side one, New Sensation versus Devil Inside. Devil Inside is so much more sonically superior than New Sensation. It's crazy that they follow each other on the album. Need You Tonight is another sonic wonder on this. It's fantastic. The album up to this point, up to the Atlantic 75th series, has been, I've always experienced kind of a sibilance on the previous issues of this record. So the upper end frequencies have kind of been almost uncomfortable, when I compare it to the Atlantic 75th series. Not horrible, but there's areas of sibilance I've experienced on both of these records. The MoFi even more so. Now, the Atlantic 75 title was actually not sourced from the master tape. It was sourced from a EQ copy, which there's a good chance the mobile fidelity was sourced from because it's actually a mobile fidelity Sound Labs record and not an original master recording. Which, now this is a silver series as well, which just means they're budget-friendly series and nothing more. But this was probably because it's not an original master and it's a mobile fidelity. That band signifies that the original master tape was not the source of this record. So chances are they were EQing it off the same record. But now when it comes to this 45 RPM version, I don't have any of the sibilance issues that I have. That high-end frequency is not overblown on this. But the middle of the record. I want to see who mastered this here. So Ryan Smith did the mastering, which I assumed he's done a lot of these Atlantic titles. Not all, but quite a few of them. It has such a beautiful, lush mid-range, like a ferocious, thundering, tight bottom end, especially on I Need You Tonight. Need You Tonight. Didn't think there was an I in there. What a nice, tight, firm lower end. It dramatically benefits from 45 RPM. I am not the biggest 45 RPM fan, but if a record is so significantly better at 45 RPM, I'm going to choose the 45 RPM. If it's marginally better, I'm going to stick with the 33. But there are some records that are so significantly better at 45 RPM that you can't listen to the 33 anymore. And that is now this copy of Kick. It is that much better than the 33s in every way that I will not, unfortunately, ever listen to these records again. This is I will go through the trouble, I will go through the pain of flipping 45 RPMs for the sonic bliss of this 75th series title. That's why I'm adding it to my list. Other records, the UHQR 45 RPM of Miles Davis Kinda Blue, The Doors' LA Woman, Dave Brubeck's Time Out. Those records are so light years beyond their 33 counterparts, I can only listen to them at 45 RPM because I know how good they sound. I know in the back of my head, if I hear another version of it, I'm like, no, something's wrong, something's missing. I need to go grab the 45. And then I do. So adding that to my top 100 in-print analog records you should own list, it's a no-brainer. It's nice too. It's not a $33, $40 record, but it's a rock record. It's $60. It's a banger. I mean, I played it in the store maybe 5 or 6 times. I typically listen to all the AP 45 RPM series at least once, but if a record sticks with me like that one does, it gets played multiple times in the store. And it was so much fun the first couple of times I played it. We had a pretty packed house over the weekend, and watching all the people kind of dance around the store. It was great. Okay. The next record I'm going to add to my top 100 in-print analog records list is the Cars Candy-O. This is the Rhino High Fidelity. Now, I have talked about how much I love this Rhino High Fidelity series, but the point of this series has been records that have been easily accessible, and those are the kind of records I've always focused on. So although I've talked about in standalone videos how great this series is, I haven't been able to highlight any of the video records because they are exclusive to them. And the way the website kind of keeps track of it is they kind of link to actual available retail products. It's a list that's meant to showcase easily accessible all analog records, not difficult to obtain analog records or records that are sold out. For instance, there's been other records on this series that I would highlight, but they're not even available anymore. They came and gone in days. But the Cars Candy-O is different because they've actually opened up some of the Rhino Hi-Fi series titles to brick and mortar independent record stores. Now, this record is actually coming out this coming up week. I've got it for pre-order now, but I should have it in the next couple of days. It's a title that's been out a couple of months, but Rhino has recently opened this up to brick and mortars. It is easily accessible as of now. It deserves to be on the list. It is awesome. It bangs. The original is not a horrible sounding record. It is good. I've got a beautiful white label promo here. Again, a record that is almost unplayed. Beautiful. Look at that iconic Vargas cover. What a record. Love the Cars. The Cars have a special place in my heart. It was one of my father's favorite bands. So there's like a sentimental attachment from my youth with the Cars. So I've always loved the band. I've got to compare it with the Cars Candy-O that Mobile Fidelity did. The Mobile Fidelity kind of attempted to open up the vintage 80s recording by kind of bringing out more of the bass and more of the high frequency than the original had. The problem with that is the middle was neutered. You can't neuter the middle of a rock and roll record. A rock and roll record where you neuter the middle, when it just sounds wonky at this point. When you compare the three of these together, the Mobile Fidelity, Rick's vocal is buried. Like, it's almost like he's singing from the back of the stage. If you're to do if you're to visually place the sound stage in your mind, you kind of place the vocalist behind the band. It's a weird, wonky presentation. And it's just, for me, the original of this was always kind of my preferred choice. It is kind of cool with the mobile fidelity to be able to hear some of what's going on in the record that you don't hear in the original. And for that reason, I kind of like, I preferred the original, but I've gone back and forth to the mobile fidelity for a different listening experience. When you get to the all analog Rhino Hi-Fi cut by Kevin Gray, with by far and away the most beautiful cover, the most beautiful packaging. Right, let's, I'm going to kind of open this up, show you guys some more. Beautiful packaging. Beautiful insert. Oh, the beans. There it is. Beautiful insert showing the master tape box. But this is, sonically, this is the whole ball of wax. This has all that rich upper end frequency range. It has all that low bottom end, that grit, but it also has beautiful, lush mid-range. You can hear everything so beautiful. Every aspect of this record shines. It's not centered or focused on any one particular thing. It really lets through what is on that tape. It has a beautiful, even keel, detailed, hyper-realistic sound, and it's everything that I want in a modern audiophile reissue. It is reasonably priced. It is $40, and today for a high-quality record, that is a bargain. It is reasonably priced. It is all analog, cut by Kevin Gray. It is just an amazing production from start to finish. I highly recommend this record. It is beautiful. Now, this particular copy says it's numbered to 5,000. I haven't seen the copies that I'm pre-ordering on the website. Part of me thinks that there is a possibility that we're going to get copies that aren't numbered, because the SKU that was provided to us by the label has changed. So if that's the case, there might be a numbered and a non-numbered version. Who the hell cares? The number on the back is irrelevant. It's all about the beautiful sound coming out of the grooves. And this record here has it in spades. I highly recommend you check this out. And the Kinks, and INXS's Kick. It is hands down a wonderful album. The 80s was known for a lot of great one-hit wonders, or bands that were able to put out amazing tunes with a lot of filler on a record. That record is not filler. That record is really damn good from start to finish. That was kind of when they were at their peak. I think it was their fifth or sixth album in, but that was when they were at their peak, and what an awesome album it is. So I highly recommend both of these. They're recent additions to my top 100 imprint analog records you should own list. Both of them are available on the website at theingroove.com. Check it out. Until next time.